Hey there, Jen Ferguson here with Artistic Painting Studio, and today we're going to play with our stamping rollers. So stay tuned as I show you guys all the ins and outs on how to use these. I am super excited today to get to introduce you guys to our stamping rollers. So I'm going to take you through all the process and let you know how they come and how to work with them. So when you get your package, you're going to have this metal U-shaped bar. You're going to have a handle that also has a nut on it. The nut will already be on the handle, so take that off. Place the U-shaped bar inside the groove that was designed for the handle or for the U-shaped bar to fit onto the handle. And then just hand tighten the nut. Don't go crazy and try to get something out and get that on super tight, okay? The handle has a couple of different holes. We have the outside one, which is designed to hold your patterned roller. And then there's one that's closer back to the handle, and that one's designed to hold the sponge applicator. So put in one side, okay, there's pins on the ends of all of the rollers that fit for these particular handles, okay? So your sponge applicator is going to have these pins. You just have to kind of muscle the bar open and get it into that groove, okay? And then once it is in, make sure it's spinning really well like I just showed you, okay? If it is feeling like it's tight and it's hitting the bar on either side, you can muscle this open a little bit, okay, and pull that out. Also, if by any chance the pins are getting shorter, because I find the more I use them, the more paint that's on the roller, sometimes the pins will start to go further into what we call the end cap. You can muscle those out with a pair of pliers, so don't worry about it, okay? So you have your handle all set up, and we're gonna load our sponge before we grab one of the patterns to actually work with, okay? My favorite way to load the sponge applicator is to grab an old serving tray. This is just a plastic tray. I think I found it at a restaurant supply company, very cheap. I found them at yard sales. And then we're going to use good old press and seal. And the reason is because I don't want to have to clean. So grab yourself a piece of the press and seal. If you haven't bought yourself a box for your art room, you guys, you're going to find there's a million different ways you can use press and seal. And I use it all day in here, okay? Other than the fact that I have a fan blowing and it's kind of messing with it. Okay, but cover your tray so that when you're done with this paint, you can let the paint just dry on the press and seal and then throw that away, and you don't have any cleanup. We're going to work with the DIY Designs by, I should say, Debbie's Design Diary DIY. Sorry about that. I almost hacked the name of her paint. You can use pretty much any paint. I'm going to find that the thicker paints that I have played with, I think tend to work a little bit better, but I have used all kinds of paint, so don't let that worry you. Okay, as you can see, my jar has gotten a little old, and we're just going to grab some of that older stuff that was on the edge, okay? We are close to the beach, so I've tried to move away from metal cans for this particular reason. As being closer to the beach, things start to rust here, okay? So I'm gonna grab out some of this paint. You don't need a ton of it, but just go ahead and put it out onto a paint tray. And depending on your project, how much area you're planning on covering. So the rollers are great to work on furniture, clothing, fabric. You can do wrapping paper. You can do so many different things with them. That depending on how much how many projects you're planning on covering or how much you're planning on rolling will depend on maybe how much paint you put on here, okay? So you can just even clean off your brush and get that onto the roller, and then just go ahead and roll through it. Try to make sure that I reposition the roller so it's getting down into that paint. And just like any other roller that you would be loading, just make sure it's getting in everywhere, okay? The other little trick that I'll do once in a while if my paint's thick is this is a mist spray bottle, not a regular spray bottle. And you can just mist the roller a little bit. Sometimes that'll help it to soak in and get into all of the parts, but you want to make sure your roller is completely covered with the paint. That way it can't miss any part of the pattern. Okay, one tricky part here, and I've always found it's best to go ahead and have it sideways in this direction. That way the pen from the sponge applicator is hitting on the ground, because you're going to have to, again, open this bar to get the other pen for the pattern roller end. So I open it up, but I'm going to squeeze and kind of hold this other pen with my fingers so that it does not come out of that hole when I'm opening it up to put the pattern roller in. So we're set. Okay, we have our design in there, and we can just even spin it and start loading the paint onto the pattern. And then another way to get this going, get my tray out of the way, is I'm just going to grab some leftover just paper and just do a roll, okay? That way you can make sure that if you roll it a couple of times, that the whole design is picking up and getting paint on it, okay? So once you have loaded the pattern, then it's just a matter of whatever your project happens to be. So if I was going to do some gift wrapping, which, you know, it's always nice to do things unique and different for our friends and family, you can just roll the design right onto the surface, okay? And however you want to line it up, if you want it to be really super close, you can even get it a little bit closer and just roll the pattern. That is it. So see how simple and easy these are to work with. Now I'm going to let you know a couple of secrets. Working on paper and fabric are going to always be the easiest for application. If you go onto a wall or a painted surface, then make sure you're using a flat paint on the surface, like on your furniture. The rollers are going to roll better on flat paint because there's something for it to grab, so it will continuously spin. If you go onto a surface that's too slick, you're going to find they are not going to want to roll, but they're going to want to just slide. So just be careful with that. So once you get going with them, there's no rules, okay? You can go in different directions. Get these other patterns out of my way. You can fill in, you can overlap. There's just so much fun that you can have with these. So allow your creativity to just blossom while these are in your hands, and go check them out, okay? There are, I believe, there's, well, in our whole roller collection, we have over 45, but I think there's about 15 or 20 of them that fit the stamping handle, which are the blue rollers, okay? They're a little bit more squishy than the red rollers, which allow them to print better on the stamping roller handle. Okay, go check them out. You'll find them all on our website. And for a list of all of the supplies and materials, you'll find those listed below in the description. And then just do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming tutorials.